Sturdivant's down there, Christian Johnston, and we've got a very special guest. I will let John Sturdivant be the one to do the introduction. Go right ahead, John.
Well, it's a close friend of mine named Marvis Davis. He is the head coach at Lausanne Collegiate School. He's been there 6 years, and he's been also at Germantown here locally as well in his background. Coach Davis, welcome to the show, and thank you for what you do for the city of Memphis regarding high school hoops, first of all.
Hey, thank you guys for having me. I'm excited to be on and looking forward to future endeavors for sure.
Coach, I
Coach
guess
Davis,
my
can you
first
talk about?
question, and
Go ahead.
go ahead,
Sorry.
John. Go ahead, John.
I was going to say,
I'm
you go
really,
ahead. Go ahead.
I'm just really curious. We spoke with the head coach Kevin Castro of the football program there at Lausanne as well. Um, he spoke about some scheduling difficulties on the football side. Have you ran into that thus far this basketball season? And what is a way that you are trying to, I mean, as best as you can prevent that?
So that's a great question. And yes, to answer your question, we have um, well, it's a funny situation because at Lausanne uh, up until probably last week we got quarantined 2 or 3 times, but we didn't have any positive cases at all on the basketball court. Uh,
Wow.
so it's been kind of a nightmare. The first time, obviously what happened with football was unfortunate. They were on their way to Lipscomb and got hit with a positive case, and so that pretty much what we decided to do at that point was just shut down all of our sports, kind of completely shut down athletics a little bit, let it die down. So we were in the process of starting our preseason, and we had the basketball only guys in there working out, but we stopped and we shut down because of that. Um, and it was the right decision, but we did. Then we come back, and then Shelby County put out the mandate. Well, not the mandate. I'm sorry, the recommendation up until December 18th, just to kind of fall back, with everything that happened with Thanksgiving, and so Lausanne, obviously, we're a high institution as far as academic, and our first priority was to make sure that we kept the schools open. So our headmaster decided that he wanted to take a step back again. And so we stopped progress again for approximately 7 to 10 days. And then we had what was a soft opening, and we came back and we opened back up, and we slowly but surely have got to the point where we're at now. And so, with that being said, all of our preseason stuff, all of our games that we didn't play any games until last Tuesday was our very first game. So yeah, so that's what kind of happened with that.
Go ahead, John.
Coach Davis, can you just talk about first your coaching career at Germantown High School?
Yeah, sure. So I started off at Germantown, God, about almost 11 years ago now. I was there for 5 years, and then I've been at Lausanne for 6 years. Um, and when I first got to Germantown, I just really wanted to make sure we kept all of the Germantown kids in Germantown schools. I felt like if we could do that, we can have strong, successful program. My very first year, the year before I got there, they had won 10 games. Um, my very first year, we won 17 and we made it to the region. And so that was, a big accomplishment, and we were able to make it. My second year, we turned it around. We had a really really talented sophomore class, but they were young, and we worked our tails off, start buying in the weight room, changing the culture, and in my second year over there, we completely turned the program around. I don't know if you guys would remember, but when White Station had the number one team in the state with LaRon Black, Chris Chioza, and all those guys that year, they had 4 or 5
Mm-hmm.
Division One. They were the number one favorite to go ahead and win a state championship, honestly. And we made it to the region. We ended up knocking them off, and we beat them. We were one game away from state, and that was the year that Southwind won state. And Southwind beat us at the buzzer. So I mean, we were right there, and had an opportunity to go to state. Then after that, it was kind of history's been in the making, man. I mean, we went from there to having one of the best teams in the country. We were top 25 in the country that following year. Um, we had a really talented group of guys that have been playing together for a long time. Everybody obviously remembers Daryl Brown, who was a superstar that went on to Bradley and took them to the NCAA tournament, winning the league twice. He was, but he was one of the top players that played that league. But we also had a bunch of other guys that played with him ever since middle school. Guys like Rodney Williams, who went on to play Division I football, Jacob Ivey, Michael Bamrick. We had a bunch of guys, Dakota Stone, Jonathan Benz, who went on to play for University of Memphis. And so that group of kids right there went on. We were a top 25 team in the country. And it was their junior year. And then unfortunately, that's when Coach White decided he was going to leave and pursue a college job. When he did that, Lausanne had called and going there, went through the full process, and I was going back and forth on how do I make this decision, because I'm a big family guy. I always preach family, and I've been talking to those kids about being a family. And then now here it is, we're top 25 in the country going into their senior year. And so I had to make a decision for my family. And then I moved on and came to Lausanne. And it was the right move. It was just the timing was just terrible because since what we've been able to do at Lausanne now is, it's been epic.
Lausanne's got a history regarding some NBA basketball players, and Mark Gasol and Cameron Payne. And can you talk about the Lausanne history of Lausanne basketball as a whole?
Yeah, so I mean the culture was so strong. When I went over there, Lausanne it was and still is a basketball school. Academics, and I told our headmaster this. Our academic program is through the roof. We're number one in college placement in Shelby County. We're averaging right around 27, 28 on the ACT. I mean, academically is proven as one of the strongest, places that you would want to send your kids. And so I told my headmaster, my job was to try to bring the basketball program up to the level that our academics was, and it already had a strong history tradition. Obviously, everyone knows that Mark Gasol went to school there. Then Cameron Payne, took on the legacy, and he ended up going there. And then a lot of people forget Skal Labissiere graduated from Lausanne as well.
Right.
Yep.
So we start thinking about those.
For some reason, I thought Mark Gasol was from Spain.
Well, he was born in Spain.
He was,
yeah,
but he moved to Memphis. When Powell was playing for the Grizzlies, Mark was in Memphis playing high school ball.
Right. Yeah, he played that. Yep, that's exactly what happened when Powell came and he was playing for Memphis. Mark was there at Lausanne, and he was there, played there for 3 years before he went and turned pro and went back to Spain. And so, the tradition was there. It's a strong traditional program. They had won their first state championship before I got there. And so, I came in wanting to, try to do my part to try to take the program to the next level, and try to get us, nationally known as best we possibly can. And we've done that. The 5 full seasons that I've been there, thank God we have won our league every single year, which is unheard of. We won 3 out of 5 regional championships, which is unheard of.
Wow.
Wow. And we've been to state 4 out of 5 times, which is unheard of. The only team that came close to doing that was East when they went on their crazy run, winning, 3 in a row. I mean, that's tough to do. But we've been to state 4 out of 5 years. We've been to state Final 4 out of 5 years, and we won 2 state championships all within the 5 years that I've been there. And last year's year was really, really special considering we actually played a national schedule. We won 30 games. playing against some of the best competition in the country, and
Yep.
and then we topped that off with the state championship. So last year was something special, and that's where we're at now, man. And that's the precedence that we set. That's the grind that we're trying to do, and every year, that's our goal.
Yeah, that's the good thing about these Memphis teams. Like you said, they're like Bartlett, y'all, Houston, Arlington, just to name a few, are playing a national schedule year in, year out to get the kids better, for the postseason as well.
Right.
Because that's the time that you want to actually get better and be on a hot streak to win the gold ball in the long run. Because these tournaments like the Hoop Fest, the Hotbed Classic down in New Albany, Mississippi, pretty much all around the Southeast, there's always a national exposure for Memphis basketball.
Yeah.
And Memphis basketball, we don't get enough credit as it is playing these tougher teams. Like, for example, when Hamilton Heights came here and played these local teams as well, that's what gets your teams better, like we just talked about, in the long run. But like you talked about, Coach Davis, you won 2 state championships. Last year was pretty special. I know everybody wants an all-Memphis final in the long run. You beat FACS in the state championship last year.
Right. Yeah, so, the unique thing about that was, you think about this, man, not only did we do that, but all the teams that we played across the country, that won state championship just tell you how special that year was. I mean, we played Bashan out of St. Louis, who won, a state championship in Missouri. We played Blair Oaks, who won, won a state championship. We played Wooddale, and Wooddale before, I know without the pandemic, they would have won a state championship. I mean, they were that good. We played so many teams that just competed. That, Whitehaven was in the mix. Houston was in the mix. Being a Southern California guy, I played ball, and I'm from Los Angeles. And coming out, I didn't realize how strong Memphis basketball is. I personally, and I've seen basketball from, West Coast, East Coast, I would put our basketball against anybody in the country. Honestly, that's how our high school basketball, and it shows year in and year out. Like Jonathan, you were saying some of the tournaments that you were talking about, not only are we competing, we're winning. When the Hoop Fest comes here, and you think about all the teams that come, Briarcrest beating the IMG last year, us beating Vashon last year. You start thinking about some of these schools that are some of the top programs in the country year in and year out. And not only are we competing with some of these high profile programs, but we're beating them, and so I put Memphis basketball up against anybody. I really, really do. So we try to play a tough schedule like that, in preparation to try to make a state championship run. Our team this year, I feel like we'll have a chance. We're super young, probably the youngest team I've had as I've been a head coach now for 15 years. Youngest team that I ever had. But I tell you what, they're talented, they play hard, they're super coachable, and as they're growing up a little bit, I think we'll have a chance. Like you said, a good test was, Coach Real was a good friend of mine, and he was gracious enough. We were having the scheduling problems to go ahead and set that game up, last week, and it was kind of last minute, and I didn't think we would, be able to, kind of just see what happens. They already played 12 games, and this was our first coming in, but our young guys kind of competed, and that's all you want, and so I'm proud of them, and right now we're sitting at 1-1. I'm getting ready to go out. We'll play Ramsey out of Alabama, who has a 7-foot top 5-star kid.
Goodness.
Yeah. Right off the bat, we'll play them right off the back, and so we'll really get a chance to see what we made of tomorrow.
Uncle Fall.
Oh,
That's awesome, Coach. Let me ask you this: after speaking with Kevin Castro as well, it really sounds like to me that Lausanne as a whole wants to play the upper echelon, the best of the best in every sport. Speak a little bit about what a honor it is to be at a place that holds those type of standards, and to be and to be able to be the leader of that basketball program.
Absolutely. So when me and Coach LaCastro, and that was honestly, Coach LaCastro was a big reason why I decided to come over to Lausanne. If you think about this, you guys, Lausanne's as a high school, we only have right around 300 kids. I mean, so when you're thinking about our numbers, and we're playing against schools that have 12, 13, 1,400 students, that just shows you, shows you the type of level that we really feel like the program can be on. But by us doing that, we have to share a lot of athletes, right? You have to have a lot of dual sport kids. You can't just go after and get kids in that are specialized. I mean, obviously, you're going to have years where we'll have some guys like Musa Smith and we'll have Jonathan Desjardins, Bo Montgomery, who are basketball only kids. And we get that. And then he'll have some kids like, Eric Gray, some of those guys that'll come in who will be football only kids. And we understand that. But for the meat of our team, both of our teams, are dual sport kids. Kids like Craig Cunningham, who's his starting running back, and he's a point guard for us. Langston Rogers, who was a basketball only kid for me, he decided he would go out and play football for the very first time in his life, and he was starting at DB. So we established a culture. We established a culture there where we just kind of come together. We talk about kids. We encourage kids to play multiple sports, and then we take all the guesswork out for those kids. So all the kids that we share during the summertime, me and Coach Castro will sit down. We'll say, okay, during this camp, we'll need all the basketball kids. During this camp, we'll need all the football kids. And we kind of put their schedule together. We have 3 strength and conditioning coaches who come in and just work with the kids on, getting their bodies right and getting their bodies conditioned to be able to make a long run like that. And that's what it takes, for us to be successful, So that's what we're doing. And it's more about the culture, of our athletic program than anything. And that's why, both programs have been so successful. I mean, if you look at what our football team did going on that long run, winning 30 plus games and, back-to-back state titles. And if you look at what we're doing on the basketball court, it's kind of unheard of.
Was Eddie Buxton Jr., was he a 2-sport athlete?
Yeah, he is. He actually did. He played football the other day. He played football a couple months ago, and then he came out. He's playing basketball for me right now. Had a really, really good game against Maz the other day. Really good game. Eddie's doing really well.
I actually I coached Eddie in youth football in Bartlett, and then I also got a chance to coach with his dad on the sidelines. Super great family. I'm echoing the same thing I said to Kevin. Man, just absolutely love that family to death.
Yep.
Eddie is an amazing young man. Very, very, very hard worker.
Yeah, he did. I mean, he definitely is. He's a big part of our team. And one thing I love about him is he just comes in, does what needs to be done. Don't say a whole lot. He's even right now he's playing a little undersized for us. He's really a 2. But right now he's playing 3-4 for us just because he's gotten his body together. He's a little stronger now, and he can handle it. So yeah, great kid, really good kid.
Well,
Aaron, do you have anything for him?
yeah, well, see, Coach Davis, you pointed out like how a lot of your guys are multiple sports type players. So how do you feel like that is important for an athlete, like for your athletes to play multiple sports, to like because do you feel like there's any distraction or do you think it just keeps them focused?
Nah, you know what? I think that it all depends on the kid. However, I do encourage it if it's something that they want to try. I grew up playing everything, so I'd be so hypocritical if I wasn't allowing, encouraging my guys to, try new things. Obviously, you're going to have, at some point, you're going to have to realize if you want to go on to the next level collegiately, you're going to have to try to put, your focus a little bit stronger in one sport than the other. However, like in a situation like Eric Gray, Eric Gray was a 3-year basketball player, but going into his senior year, we talked I knew he was getting ready to go to UT, and I'm like, look, man, you go ahead, do your thing. You don't have to worry about it. he ended up enrolling early, and it was no problem.
That's
you know,
awesome.
I was fortunate enough to play both sports in college. I graduated from University of Laverne, California, and I mean, I played football and basketball. I would, I mean, I would be hypocritical if I was just telling our kids, "Hey, man, I just want you to focus on basketball." No way.
Yeah.
I'm at every, I'm at every football game. I'm on the sideline. Coach Castro's at all of the basketball games.
Mhm.
I think it is important. I think it's important for these kids to have multiple opportunities. I really do. As long as they're passionate about it. Now,
Yeah.
if your primary focus is basketball, then we're okay with that.
Mhm.
There's no way that Coach Castro would let Musa go out there and run fades last year. Not happening. We got that.
Yeah,
That's good.
I
Now
know there's a lot of coaches that they don't want their players to play other sports because they could get hurt and whatnot.
Right.
But I think if you truly care about the kid and you want to see them excel in all sports and you want to see them exploit all their opportunities, like you said.
Yeah, no, and then you have to think about it from these lines too. Um, these kids, their grades go up when they're playing sports. That's why even with this pandemic, it's so important for us to have these kids, trying to actively do something. Their accountability is there. What are they going to do now? If you're playing football all through the fall, and then come December, all of a sudden you're used to going to practice every day, get done at homework, and you're having your routine all the way down. Then we're going to say you're not going to do any of that until next fall. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
that kind of defeats the purpose, with the structure system and keeping everything in place. So, uh, and then at a small school like Lausanne, honestly, athletically, it'll be hard for us to survive and be able to be accountable and play on the level that we want to play without putting, having most of our athletes out there. And we get that.
Mhm.
And it's worked for us, and we kind of setting the blueprint on how to do some things.
And it keeps the kids conditioned. It keeps
Right.
them ready like year round, and that's pretty much what you were saying, right? Like, do any of your players also do like track and field? Keep
Oh, yeah.
that, yeah, like hurdling and jumping and running and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, we do. Langston Rogers, the kid I was just talking about, he's a standout. He's a starter on the football field. He starts for us on the basketball court, but track is his sport. I mean, so when you think about the kid AJ Dilworth, who's our best receiver, I mean, he's a stud of an athlete. He runs track as well. Craig Cunningham runs track.
Mhm.
So those kids bounce from one sport to the next, and it just kind of keeps them going. In the middle of, and I don't know how they do it, but in the middle of track season, they'll do track, but then they're also playing 7-on-7 and AAU basketball as well. I mean,
Jeez.
so you start thinking about all the things that they're doing, man.
Yeah.
It's amazing. But that's the unique thing about Lausanne because we structure our strength and conditioning program around all that, so they also get time to recuperate, and they don't have to go to 36,000 different trainers, and we have all those things kind of built in for them right there, and we're able to watch their loads and give them time off when needed. We structure our practices around that. Like we don't practice basketball for 3 hours a day. Like some other
Yeah,
places.
you do, Duncan.
Nah, we'll go an hour and a half. Honestly, we'll go an hour and a half, but everything is so structured, and we bounce from one to the next, one drill to the next. We'll start about 4:15, and we're done by 6 o'clock.
So, Coach, let me ask you this. And I asked Coach Reel from Bartlett this same exact question, just because this is just a question that just I'm really eager to get answers on.
Right.
With COVID-19 wreaking havoc like it has this year. Uh, as a basketball coach of a top tier program, um, are you looking to next season and trying to prepare for things that may happen, or are you just focusing on today, right now, and when you get there, you'll get there?
Yeah, I'm focusing on right now, and the only reason I'm saying that is because this thing is changing weekly, and so
Yeah.
we don't, I try to be take as many precautions as I can. Honestly, right now we're still practicing in mass. We're practicing in mass. which means I can't run the heck out of my kids like we normally do.
Right.
The big thing about Lausanne, we get up and down, so we have to kind of change our structure a little bit. And so I can't run them, and we can't do as much as we used to. We're doing a lot of individual work now, so they can kind of keep their masks on. But it's changing. It's changing weekly. My goal right now is to take it day by day and do everything I possibly can to try to keep these kids safe, and keep them and continue to have them play. That's it. I want them to be able to play safely, and so I'm not worried about next year. We've got invited. People are already sending out different invites for us. Like I said, because we got a really talented young group. They know how good we'll be, next year and the year after. But I'm not focusing on that right now. I'm taking it day by day. We it's crazy. We take their temperatures every time they come into practice. We're practicing in masks. I'm physically pumping soap in their hands. I mean, and making them go wash their hands. So
Yeah.
I mean, we're taking it serious. And we just focusing on the day. And honestly, if we want to try to, win our 6th district championship, that's what we're going to focus on. And if we do that, hopefully we'll have another run at a state championship, and then pray that we'll be able to get back in the spring, because not having a spring this year kind of hurt us really bad with our young guys. So we'll pray that we'll have a spring, pray that we'll have a summer, and then we'll let next year take care of next year.
Coach Davis, I've always called Division II lately. I know Division II, your class, and Division II with Christian Brothers and all of them, the SEC of college football and college basketball.
Right.
So can you talk about just the coaches and then the players in your district as well a little bit?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I just compare everything to when I was at Germantown, versus, because everyone says AAA is the highest level of basketball, and every night it's going to be a war. And it was true. I mean, God, our league then, when you think about it, we were playing against Ridgeway, Southwind, Houston, Collierville. I mean, it was a war every night, but you kind of knew what to expect, with the coaches. You knew what they like. I knew that every time we played West Henning at Ridgeway, we were gonna have to work on our zone defense. He was gonna play that 1-2-2 matchup. We knew when we played Southwind, Paul was gonna run and jump, and that's what he was gonna do. The crazy thing about being in Division II is every night is something different. These coaches, man, and these players, they go out and they watch film and they game plan, and these kids know you inside and out, and it is something new and something challenging at every game. And that's why, honestly, I think from top to bottom, if you look at what Briarcrest has done these past few years, if you look at what Lausanne has done these past few years, you look at what Christian Brothers has done these past few years, and Brentwood Academies, and everybody's in Division II, it's a totally different monster. We can play with anybody now, and I mean, and we've proven that, So I think that's the biggest difference, is just being, the coaching and being prepared for everything, something completely different every single night.
Yeah, I think your division, consists of, forgive me on this, but a FACS,
Mm-hmm.
Harding,
Mm-hmm.
you guys, USGA,
Right.
I think.
Yeah. So
And who
right
else am I missing?
So I mean, across the statewide, if you start thinking about our level, it's so many others. It's so many schools that it's approximately, like when we win a state championship, it's approximately 60 schools. I mean, you got some really strong traditional programs in our league. You're thinking about across the statewide teams like Knoxville Webb, or traditional powerhouses. You're thinking about CPA, with Drew Maddox out there, who's loaded every year, do a really good job. You think about Webb Feet with the kid Keon, who's got Tennessee right now. I mean, and then when you start thinking about just locally, you think about FACS, you think about ECS, you think about Hardin Academy, you think about
Rosemark.
You start thinking about USJ, you start thinking about us, St. George's traditionally, North Point now, who's coming out really, really strong. Their girls program was always one of the best in the state now. the girls coaches have taken over the boys program, and now the boys are rolling. I mean, so when you start thinking about, and I can continue naming them all, but yeah, I mean, good pasture, every year is really good, So you start thinking about that, about 60 schools across the state is tough.
All right, I'm gonna put you on the spot.
All right.
A lot of people in the last couple of years have been complaining that Memphis does not have a state basketball tournament being in Memphis. Are you okay with it where it's at in Nashville, in Allen Arena, and Lipscomb in your division?
I mean, yeah, obviously, I would love for it to be in Memphis, right? I mean, as a head coach of a Memphis team, and I think it'll be, and knowing how big basketball is in Memphis, I think it'll be jam packed. I think it'll be sold out. I think it'll be awesome, But at the same time, I understand why TSSAA is doing it the way they do it, and it's only because Nashville is the dead middle of the state, and it'll be hard for some East Tennessee teams if they make it to be able to get all the way out here, and everywhere is directly in the middle. However, it does give the Nashville schools, a little bit of an advantage, because they'll be able to have bigger crowds if they make it. But I understand why, because it's in the middle of the state. However, if I had my preference, heck yeah, I would love to have it at the FedEx Forum, or even at the old arena, Pyramid, like that. I mean, I think it'll be epic. I would love for it to happen, but like I said, I definitely understand why they're doing it the way they do it. But yeah.
Could you talk a little bit about your former players and Musa, how he's done so well at Memphis, and then like you talked about with Jonathan, and talk about where he's at, and then talk about any former players that are playing college ball right now?
So Musa's doing his thing. Super proud of him. He got freshman of the week in the conference. He's starting to play really, really well. I knew he would always be special defensively. He has feet, for somebody his size of a guard, but his timing on blocking shots is something that you can't coach. People don't realize this, but he had 21 blocks in the game for us last year. It was just something to see, and his shot blocking ability is like nothing I've ever seen before. But offensively, he's getting so much better, and he's doing his thing in Memphis, and I'm just super proud of him. And his ceiling is still so high, man. I mean, he just starting to scratch the surface, and then Jonathan Dejournay, he's actually playing right now. We were just kind of watching that, and he's actually, which is great. He's in the rotation at Purdue Fort Wayne. For him to come from when he first started playing, he was ranked 67th in his class, and when he left the state and went at the end of last year, he was top 5 in his class, and now he's gone on to college and he's actually playing, as a true freshman. It's so remarkable, man. He's doing his thing also. Bo Montgomery is at Holy Cross. We had 3 Division I guys last year. Bo's doing really, really well out there on the East Coast in Boston. He's playing well too. His ceiling is through the roof too. His athleticism is a power 5 type of athleticism, explosiveness. That kid can jump out the gym. He's fast as lightning. He works his butt off. So those are the 3 from last year that are going on to play Division I right now. But some of the other kids that that have come from us, Isaiah Stokes, Michael Manning.
Right.
Isaiah went on to Florida. Michael Manning went on to Wofford. We have kids in the academy. James Babb went to Brown University. Jesse Nellums went to the academy, to the Merchant Marine Academy. He played the other day on ESPN. Got a chance to watch him. And so we start thinking about all those guys and then with all our football guys have gone everywhere. Sky was one of our best players, state MVP. And he went on to University of Memphis. Now Richard Kinley, who played for us, he had at Tennessee State. No, MTSU. Yes.
Right.
So so you start thinking about all those guys. Of course, Eric Gray played for us, but now he's playing football at Tennessee. So all those guys have had the opportunity to go on, and they're doing their thing, man. I'm super proud of. Super proud of.
Wes, go ahead.
Yep.
Coach, when you talking about, well, first off, I have a question. We were talking about Musa running a fly route earlier. Could you just give us? I have a visual of that. Is my visual pretty close? I mean, I just visualized just like 7 steps and he's past everybody and wide open.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he was super fast. Like he was so fast, but it's so funny. One day, because I mean, we were getting prepared for season last year, so he was out there. We were on the track and we were doing our jumps and we were running and doing our thing. And then one of them were like, Musa, go, run, and they throwing him the ball, and because he loved football. And obviously the reason why his feet were the way they were was because he was a soccer player first. See, Musa didn't start playing basketball till the 8th grade. He played soccer his whole life, so that's why his feet was as good as they were.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, he, but like I said, Coach DeCastro I don't think he would have let that happen. But that was fun, man. That's hilarious.
Coach, well, first off, it's been a great pleasure to have you on the show today, or this afternoon, I should say. Talk a little bit. This is my last question for you for the interview. Talk a little bit about your longevity at Lausanne and just goals that you, as the leader of that program, have set for the future.
Oh man, that's a great question. Thank you for asking that. I've had some opportunities. I mean, Jonathan knows this. I especially a couple years ago. I mean, once we started rolling, to try to go to the next level and play, and coach maybe on collegiately or something like that. And honestly, right now, I don't know if I want to. Now, obviously, if it was the right situation would come along, then maybe I would consider it. But I'm living the dream every day. I honestly mentioned this earlier when I was talking about the reason why I left Germantown. Leaving the top 25 team program that I had built. I did that for my family. I did that for my boys. I got 2 kids, and now honestly, I'm having an opportunity to change lives every day at that place. And then my son now he's a freshman. He played varsity for us last year, Trey Davis, as an 8th grader. And it was funny because one game he can flat out shoot the ball. One game last year as an 8th grader, he came in, he had 6 threes and he led us in scoring. And so now having the opportunity to coach him, it's just it's a dream come true. And I share this story all the time. My biggest fear is for one of my kids to be able to come back and say, well, Dad, you coached all these guys and you helped them get to the next level, and and I didn't have an opportunity. I would have loved that. So right now I'm just kind of humbly happy where I'm at, for sure. I mean, I've had other high school opportunities to go on to to back on the public school side, and so I won't say the schools obviously, but they reached out, and I decided not to. I want to stay at Lausanne. And then, I have a 7th grader as well, who's a big time football player. I mean, he's super, super talented. He'll tell you right now, even though I'm the basketball coach.
So obviously Coach LeCastro wants him, obviously. Yeah, go ahead.
He's been playing middle school. He's been playing middle school football for Lausanne since the 3rd grade. He played 5th and 6th grade as a 3rd grader. And as a 4th grader, he was starting at linebacker, running back for him. So, and then, last year, obviously they didn't play. But as a 6th grader, he played on the 7th and 8th grade team. And he's probably about 6 feet right now in the 7th grade. He's a great size kid, great kid. And he can play.
Hey, let me make a phone call to Dion. Hang on a second. Okay.
Yeah. So, man, like I said, man, I'm loving where I'm at. They've given me opportunity. I asked them, when I came over to Los Angeles, I said, just if you allow me to kind of do it my way, I promise you, we won't be on the news for anything crazy because I'm just, I got so much,
Right.
my belief and my morals, and none of that will happen. I said, but I promise we'll make it happen. And they trust me. They let me run my program, uh, and honestly, I'm I'm okay where I'm at. I'm happy. Going to school with my kids every day. So with that being said,
Yeah.
the standard every year, no matter what. Like right now, we're starting 2 freshmen, 2 sophomores, and a junior. That's our starting lineup. And the expectation is to win league,
Wow.
win region, and go to state. And that's the standard that is set every year. So how you just asked me what is the goal? Every year the goal is to win a state championship. Period. Now, if we come up a little bit short, I can deal with that. We're gonna put
Right.
every ounce that we can into pursuing that goal is to win a state championship every single year. And we're going after it this year. I know we're young, but we're gonna go fight and we're gonna do whatever we can. Hopefully, my young boys, by the time February gets here, they'll grow up and they won't be freshmen; they'll be sophomores in my mind at that point. And we're gonna go after
Right.
it. The blueprint is laid.
Yeah.
The standard is laid, and the expectation is laid. So that's what we're gonna do.
Well, I know your teams have always played hard ever since I've known you. I want to say that as well. Wes brought this up to a previous coach that we had as well regarding middle school. Are you a fan of your middle school program running the same things as the high school players as well?
Yes, yes. My middle school, they do, especially from a defensive standpoint, because we don't really want to run an offense if we don't have to anyway. Even in high school, we teach these guys about spacing the floor. We talk about how to run in your lanes, filling lanes, how to read off coming off a screen. We play positionless. Musa had to bring the ball up if he could last year, because we want to work on that every day. We don't just put guys in a box. But from a defensive standpoint, our philosophy is going to be the same from our middle school all the way up to our high school. They know if you're we're going to play a pack line style, man to man, in your face, ball pressure style defense, and we work on that on a middle school level, all up to our freshman level, up to our JV level, up to the varsity level. The language is going to be the same. So if a kid hears 13, they automatically know we're going to get in 1-3-1. They know that in middle school. So yeah, I believe in it. I believe that's the way you build a program, you build a culture. And who knows? 2016, 2017, we had 4 season-ending injuries. And we were scrambling,
Wow.
and we had to move up JV guys, and they knew what to do. Because so knock on wood, that never happens again. But we were able to we're able to win state championship that year. Even with that being said, moving up JV guys, we only had 10 guys on our roster in the state tournament, and we ended up winning it because it was just a culture. And that's what we're trying to create. We're trying to create a positive culture. We want these guys to be able to perform at the highest level as possible, and go from there. So yeah, that was a great question. But I do believe in our middle school 100% doing the same thing as our varsity.
Well, Coach Davis, I know you
I just
got
feel like it
busy
just
week.
makes everything. Oh, go ahead, John.
No, I was gonna say that's all the questions
I was
got,
just saying,
so,
I feel like
yeah.
it just makes everything so much easier for your program from the middle school to the high school level. And like you said, if someone does get injured, then that next person can just step right in. They already know the verbiage. They already know the plays. There's no taking time to stop and teach them anything when they can just step right in and continue, flow as normal.
Yes,
But
sir. That's what
Coach,
we do, man. Yep.
Coach, yeah.
No, I just said
Coach, also, go ahead.
no, I'm done.
Oh,
It was a long pause.
but just wanted to say, sorry. Yeah, it was. Just wanted to say, thank you very, very much for being on the show with us today. We at the 4-Star Sports Show, we want to get as many high school coaches as we can. We really are real big on supporting the kids, getting eyes on these young men who are not only busting their butt on the gridiron and on the basketball court, but also in the classroom. And of course, being a student athlete is not easy to do, especially in the year 2020. As a husband of a wife, or my wife is a teacher. As a husband of that, trust me, I see it on a daily basis. It's a real fight to make sure these kids are taken care of on their school for sure. But Coach Marvis Davis, thank you very much for being on the show with us today.
Oh man, no problem. I enjoyed it, and I look forward to it. Like I said, you guys know how to get in contact with me if you guys want to talk. As the season goes on, just let me know and we'll get on for sure.
Hey, good luck in Alabama tomorrow.
Hey, appreciate it. Take care.
Bring some victories home.
Thanks,
We're
Coach.
gonna try for sure. We're gonna try to bring it on in. Yep.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, buddy.
All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for watching our live. We've got another one coming up here shortly, and that'll be it for the evening. But guys, once again, to our Facebook listeners and watchers, to our YouTube our YouTube watchers, and also on iHeartRadio as well. Thank you very much for all the support.